Shemai Elite Dangerous Chums. Since the T8 came out for credits, I've been wondering what to do with it, and my answer was, of course, the passenger missions, and not Robigo. We're talking about Thargoid, invaded starports, rescue missions. So this is one of the best ships for it, and it's also the best medium ship for cargo. But I'm going to talk about the rescue missions. So for this one, we're going to look at first the build, and then we're going to look at the actual performance. And it's going to be an explainer. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do these passenger rescue missions and give you the best chance of success in those. So looking at the build itself, you want heatsink launchers. You need to stay cool in order to evade Thargoid vessels which will try and intercept you. I'd say you would need at least 3 or 4 heat sinks, so this needs to be an engineered module, ideally the pre-engineered. So the other module there is a shutdown field neutralizer. I've never actually used it. Actually, I used it once, but not in the actual rescue, more while I was doing a video. So you could get rid of this if you do not have any engineered heat sinks and replace it with a heatsink module, and I think most of the time you would be fine. Electronic countermeasures, I got 2 of them. You do need 2 because one will cool down while you use the other. So you can use them in kind of a quick succession, basically, to save you from missiles from the Thargoids. Looking at the alloys, well, lightweight alloys are good. Heavy duty G5, of course, would be the best with deep plating. You could arguably use military grade if you want a bit more resistance. You want to take a bit more of a hammering from the Thargoids, and that's not going to be a problem. You're still going to have a very good boost speed with this particular build. Power plant, I've got overcharged thermal spread. This should be low emissions really, and in the build which is in the description, that's what you've got. Because you want low emissions to keep you cool, basically. Thrusters, not as cool these. Dirty drive, G5 with drag drives, but essentially they give you more than 450 meters per second boost speed, which is what you need to escape from Thargoids. This gives you near 500 meters per second. That's more important than staying cool, even keeping your distance from them. Ideally, you want to use both, which this build does excellently. 5A FSD. G4 Mass Manager, all I'm aiming for here is 30 light years jump range or thereabouts, but it's all entirely up to you what you put in there. It's an SCO drive, which this ship does brilliantly. Life support 3D, the same as the sensors, and you want lightweight scanner on both of those for lightweightness. See? So power distributor. Now, you've got a 4D unit in here. It's very easy to argue a 4A to give you perma boost if you have charge enhanced, but you could put, the ideal would be engine focused, especially on the T8 where you're not going to use it for combat, where you're going to use the boosting, and obviously G5 is the best, but whatever you can afford on that, but it's not as essential as the dirty drive. Looking at the cabins, now we've got economy in all of here, and they all should be economy essentially, except for this first one or this first 1 and 2. What we've got is a first class here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a business class in there, because I think this is the optimum for this particular build. So business class goes in there, happy days. Most of the time you will be leaving passengers behind in this build, because it's if you have it as it was set up originally, you'll be leaving passengers behind, but for the reason of having too many missions, not enough missions. So there's a limit with 20 missions, I think. Also, with the first class and business, this will allow you to choose the higher class passengers that will pay you either lots of money, as in 20 million, or lots of nice, lovely materials. But do bear in mind, you'll get 20, 50 million even with the economy class. It's all the luck of the draw. So we're increasing the probabilities there. That's all we're doing, basically. And this business class here, 4D, it's not a big deal. A 4E will give you, economy will give you slightly more passengers. Also, notice that there's no shield. If you're nervous, you could wang a shield in here, a 4A, prismatic or something, but honestly I really wouldn't bother, because for one thing the shield's going to increase your heat signature. Also, it's going to make the size of you a lot bigger to make the Thargoids hit you a lot more hard. And shields against Thargoids, honestly, they're not very useful. They're more useful against humans, but if you're in a solo or an anti-Xeno initiative group session, then you won't get gankers. But if you're in group session, open session, you will get gankers. So there is a probability of getting those. So that is the build. On our entry to Sol, we are getting a Hyperdiction. This happens reasonably rarely, but it's not out of the question. But fortunately we're capable of dealing with it. Flight assist off, boost, and just to get away from it, hit a heatsink, hit a silent running. Try and get back into the jump as soon as you can. Come on, chum, let's jump. Let's keep jumping. So you see, it's not too bad. They're not sending shutdown missiles at you. You have ECMs ready, no problem. I'm still hitting the jump even though there's a cooldown. We're still waiting for the cooldown to end. Hit another heatsink. We're just heating up a little bit there. And I think it's quite a slow interceptor, probably a Cyclops or something quite easy. So we've not got any problems with that whatsoever. And then we are on into the jump. That is the easy Hyperdiction. Once you get in your system, you want to choose one of these ports under attack. So in this instance, Galileo or Mars High are the best. Europa is a surface one. Also, bear in mind, if you're in the T8, that will give you access to Burnell if that was, for example, under attack, which makes it better than the cutter from that respect. So here we are at our system for some rescues. It can be quite spicy on the way in, so just be a bit cautious with regards to the slots. You don't have any shields, don't forget, so therefore you want to be familiar with manual landings. Also, I'm in a solo session because sometimes the entrance slot can get quite filled up with random NPCs because they get confused when there's a lot of commanders in the area. Also, you can have a lot of combat going on which you don't want to engage in this ship for sure. And then we just land the sucker and then we'll board up our passengers. In order to pick up your passengers, you go to the mission board, passenger lounge, and to start off we go for personal transportation rather than group transportation. Now, every time you choose a mission here, they will take up one whole cabin no matter how many there are. So we can choose all, or we can choose credits, or we can choose materials. So I want some materials, so we've got some atypical disrupted echoes there, we'll have them. And we're going to put these lot in business, so we're going to choose that. Get rid of that odd business class category one. Credits, so we're going to look for some decent credit payers. Only one in this one, 16 million. We'll choose these chums. And they can go in, wow, 24 of the scumbags, wow. All taking up that one economy seat, that's a bit disappointing. So let's go out of those. I think we've done enough homage to the rich people there. And look at these, so we're still looking at credits here, 17 million for these lot. Now bear in mind, you can do autofill and they'll fill whatever is available. Because they're not choosy, they'll choose any cabins and any that are partially full, they'll fill up the rest of it. There's another 17 million. Again, autofill, and just keep doing autofill when you're in this section because it's a lot quicker. So we will continue to fill up our ship, but do bear in mind that you can choose reputation as well, which will be useful for gaining federal rank while it's in the Sol system and can get you to Rear Admiral and release your Corvette. So that is onboarding the passengers. When you're escaping, make sure you select the next location you're going to, Leyton Star, immediately before you exit the station, because as I said, it can get a bit spicy at some of these stations, especially if you've got AX combat, which is why it's normally better to do it in a solo session. But we're going to go out, we're going to see if we get away with it this time, and we're just going to boost on out. Hopefully nobody's on the other side, it doesn't look like it. Be ready with the Thargoid pulse neutralizer if you have any kind of heavy AX kind of combat going on outside, but just basically boost away as quickly as possible. Most of the times you jump out, you are going to get hyperdicted, and this is the most difficult hyperdiction you will come across, so take it quite seriously. Flight assist off and accelerate. Oh, hit the ECM, so I'm hitting that, and hit a heatsink, silent running. So whenever you see the message saying missile coming your way, make sure you hit that ECM. You need to be in combat mode for the ECM as well. Keep an eye on your heat because that's going to gradually go up and you might need all of those heat sinks in this kind of situation. Incoming missile, hit it again. Can we jump? No, not yet. We've got to keep on going. Come on, cooldown in progress still. There we go. Let's just keep on going. Let's hope we get away with it. Heat is going up. Again, we're hitting another heat sink. We're down to 69% hull. We're good. We're going to get away with this one. Not been killed so far in the old Type 8. Watch out for those missiles though. Oh, come on, mate. Get rid of flight assist to make sure you get your trajectory right at the end, which is the slight mistake I made there. But 59%, not one of my better escapes, considering I think I did all the things right. Drop it in the comments if I didn't. But that's the hard bit of escaping. Once we land at Hutner, we can go to our mission board, passenger lounge, and complete our missions. So take the money or the influence, whatever you want really, 17 million. We don't need to worry about reputation here, so just keep grabbing the money. Obviously, if you need reputation for federal rank, then you need to keep grabbing that for that purpose. But money or materials are the way that I deal with this one. So there's the money made. Now, one thing you might come across is a bit of a glitch where you've got 24 people there, 17 million we should be making off them. But if we go to the mission board, they're not there in the passenger lounge, so we're just going to have to boot them off the ship, unfortunately. Unless anyone has any solutions to that. This is my solution, abandon it, and we've abandoned them. They've now escaped safely without paying. Scumbags. So that is the passenger rescue missions in a T8. I'll talk about some other ships now. Now bear in mind the T8, I was on the cusp of optimum for this build, and you can look at the cutter by all means. That's going to give you 204 passengers compared to the T8's maximum of 170 or 134 with my kind of optimum build. But it's not as manoeuvrable, the cutter, and I just prefer flying the T8, so I think this is by far a better vessel. It's a lot easier to fly as well, especially if you do not put any shields on. It's a lot more less difficult, whereas the cutter, you can spam it a lot easier. So also you need to have the Imperial unlock to get the cutter. So what's the alternate to the cutter? The Beluga is a fine passenger vessel, but I've never been so close to death as I have been in the Beluga. This is the Robigo run, meant for run out of Hauser's Reach. It'll give you just about more passengers than the Type 8, but the thrusters are not really up to speed. They go 423 meters per second, that's G5 dirty drives. And honestly, it's not really worth it. And if we look at the Beluga itself, it's got these massive wings on it, which means getting into the slot on the space station makes it very hazardous if you're not used to manoeuvring. Also, any other ships that are in there, you're going to struggle. So it's the least recommended, and it's the only one that I've put a hull reinforcement package in there just because I got scared. So that is the Beluga, and that is the alternative to the cutter. Still a decent ship, still not going to argue you against using it, but it's one for the pros. In contrast to the Beluga, we have the Orca, which is by far the fastest offering with regards to rescue ships. The complete opposite of the Beluga, it goes above 600 meters per second, and it's a large ship, but it's not as large as a Beluga, as you can tell, so it takes a hit with regards to passengers. It takes less passengers, in fact, than the Type 8, which is why I prefer the Type 8. But with a boost speed of 600 meters per second, and if you're new to it but you're a bit nervous and you don't want to get destroyed by the Thargoids, if you're a bit, if you like taking low risks in this game, this is the choice by far. And you could even go shielded, which this current Orca is shielded. I've not used it shieldless yet, but it's an excellent ship, an excellent rescue ship, so one that's recommended for those who love going fast. A decent alternative to the Type 8, if you do not have a lot of money, is the Type 7, but that will need the thrusters engineering. Even though it's slightly slower than the Type 8, it's still got decent boost on once you do the dirty drives, and it actually has better handling than the Type 8. But it still has a little bit of extra cost, but you need to engineer it. But if you do not have any engineering whatsoever, if you don't have a lot of money, but if you do have 4 million, then this is the choice for you. It's the Cobra Mark III. It'll give you 30 passengers with economy passengers, and it'll give you a boost speed of 441 meters per second, which is slightly subprime, but should just about be enough to get you away in most scenarios. So, and it'll give you the full experience of doing the passenger evacuations as well. I'm not sure you'll make a lot of money with it, but it's certainly got to be worth a try if you don't have any other options and you're a beginner and you don't have a lot of cash either. So those, my friends, are your options for the passenger rescue missions if you want to engage with this final Thargoid content. I'm not saying that they're going to go away, but it's certainly worth engaging with while you get the opportunity. Hopefully this video has shown you exactly how you go about doing it and what options you have with regards to ships and builds, which are all in the description, so do check that out if you want to pick your optimum build for doing this particular activity. So any questions, do drop them below. I will try and my very best to help you. As I said, do this kind of activity in a solo session ideally. If you want to see some chums around, Anti-Xeno Initiative group session, private group session will be the one to go for. Do not do this in open unless you want the ganking experience at some point, because there's a decent probability it's going to happen because they're all over Sol. So thank you very much for watching and have a most excellent day.